What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Healthy Spread podcast. We have a great guest, James Whitfield. How you doing today, James?
Blessed and highly favored. I really appreciate you for inviting me on this podcast.
Definitely. James is part of the dental medicine program here at AT Still University. I actually bumped into him at the YMCA,
Yeah,
and it's been nothing but great vibes for sure.
yeah, that's a fact. Kyle was over there dropping buckets on us, man. Just spending that work. So,
James, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're coming from, specifically, like what program you're in, what is the dental medicine program for everybody?
right. So, my name is James Whitfield. I'm originally born and raised in Houston, Texas, North Side. For any of my Houstonians out there, um, served in the military for 6.5 years. Was out in North Carolina for most of that time. Came here and I joined the AT Still. Got accepted in it, and basically I'm in a doctor of dental medicine program, and it's essentially just a dentist. So it's no different than DDS, DMD. It's all the same thing. Out here with my wife and my son, and really enjoying it. I come from a different background from a lot of people, so um, it's a humbling it's humbling to be able to be here, and it's a blessing as well. So
For sure. What branch of the military were you in?
yeah, so I was in the United States Navy for 6.5 years, working as a hospital corpsman. And basically, what that meant is that I worked in like medical facilities, and I was a Greenside corpsman, so I worked with Marines for all of my career. And that's a story that I wish I could go back to and just enjoy that lifestyle, because it was great, man. It was a great experience, and it's always great, serving my country and doing what's best for the people that can't. And right now, I'm on a scholarship actually through the military, but it's through the Air Force now. So
For sure. So what was your experience actually like, working in the Navy and like you said, working with the Marines and working alongside them?
yeah, um, my experience there, I would say it was different than most people would kind of assume. When people think of the Navy, they think of, oh, y'all out on ships, y'all swimming a lot. It's not that. It wasn't that for me, at least. It wasn't my story. So my story was I was stationed on one base for 6.5 years, basically, and it was the base is called MARSOC, so MARFORSOC is Marine Special Operations Force Command, and basically I just provided aid there. It was wherever they needed me to do, or whatever job that they needed to do, even if it went from sweeping the floors to providing operation medical logistic information to higher ups. It was great there. It was one of those experiences, like I say, that I wouldn't take back, because I met a lot of great people. It actually was a reason why I wanted to become a dentist, because I had no clue about dentistry before then, and I actually met one of my mentors and a really great friend there. Her name is Doc Wong. So, and my wife actually, her and my wife came together and was like, "Hey, you going to this?" My wife was like, "Nah, I can't. You're not doing nothing less than that." So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that was my next question for you actually. Like what made you become a dentist? Because, you know, I have a few friends that are in the military currently, and it's,
Mm.
not every story is different, like you said, but like,
Right, right,
for most of their story, it was like the military was like a constant,
yeah,
everyday routine,
right,
and it almost
right,
not necessarily became depressing because that's a big
right.
word to use, but it,
No, that's the right word, though. Yep.
but
No,
like,
seriously. Yeah.
but like it almost became depressing because the cycle was the same every day, the same, work
Mhm.
cycle. So how did you, find it in yourself to want to become a dentist, but also to, have that motivation to say, I don't want to do this every day. I want to try something else and branch out and do something else.
Right. So, like I said, I never knew about dentistry. I never seen black dentists in my community. It wasn't even on my mind. I was going to actually try to be a SARC, which is a search and rescue corpsman, and that's basically just the corpsmen that go out with the. It basically is just a heightened up person that's like really, really, really motivated to go out there and do medicine. Right. I was going to go in a PA program. But like your friends say, it's one of those things where I won't lie, the military can be depressing, but it's not the military. It's we know what we signed up for, right? And when you actually get into that position of what you signed up for, you're missing birthdays, you're missing funerals, you're missing experiences with family members because you're stationed somewhere else. You're really by yourself. It's like throwing a high schooler into a group, a population of people that you've never experienced this world before. You got to learn discipline. You got to learn how. For my schedule, it was I had to be up at 4:30 every morning. I made it to work by 5:30 we had PT. 6:30 work started because we had time in between that PT was just physical training and stuff, like working out. And then in between that time, you had to shower, you had to eat your breakfast, back to work at 6:30. From 6:30 to 12, that was straight work. And then 12 to 1, you had to work out. It was dedicated workout time. That's lunch and workout time. So you only had 30 and 30 for that. And then it was 1 to 5 every day. So it was from 6:30, literally from 6:30 to 5:30, or from 5 every day. And that was draining at first. It was tiresome for me initially, and like I said, it took my wife, and thank God I have her, because it took my wife and Doc Wong to really just like get me outside of just staying enlisted. And it's nothing bad with people who want to stay in the military and everything. I wanted to stay in initially, but then like I said, I was introduced to this new world, and it changed my perspective a little bit, because 2.8% of dentists are African American, right? It's 2.8%. So going through it, Doc Wong was just like, hey, you got to make this happen, because I was getting shifted from here and there. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it took for me to psychologically and mentally buckle down, because I was like, either I'm going to do this military stuff and I'm going to do it for 15 years and just now in 15 years get my bachelor's degree and then go to dental school, or I'm just going to buckle down, pay, use the GI Bill, and use tuition assistance that the military gave me, which is only 12 credits a year. So you can think 12 credits a year compared to 120 that you need, you'll be in the military for a long time. So
Yeah,
I paid out of pocket most of it. But it just, I would say it bettered me for dental school, because now dental school feels like it feels like a breeze. It feels like I deserve to be here. I work to be here, so it's great.
for sure. So being in your position, what is some advice you would give people who are in the military and are deciding that, okay, let me take these 15 years to finish my undergrad versus let me
Yeah,
just buckle down and go and do this, because it's not an easy decision to just say,
right,
all right, because school is far from cheap. School is super
right.
expensive, so that's a big burden for people. But for you, you were able to make that decision. So do you have any advice for somebody who's contemplating that, or thinking about it, or on the fence?
Yeah. I would say take the time to think about it and contemplate and go around that fence one time, but only go around it one time. Make that decision immediately. Just because for me, um, the military was taxing. I'm not gonna lie, man. It was taxing. It was hard, and people can sometimes get sucked up into that life. And if you choose to wait 15 years to do whatever, that's why I say like everybody has a different story. I was blessed because I was stationed at one base for 6.5 years, so I never moved. But like people like my cousins, that was in the military, my brother, my twin brother that was in the military, they were stationed on ships where they don't have the opportunity to go to college. You know what I mean? They have to wait 6 to 9 months in order to get back home and then actually go to school, which is hard. Like going to school, deploying, coming back. So you gotta, eh, if you're in my position to where I say, you have that time, make that time, sacrifice the money, because it's going to be a better payout at the end of the day. But if you're not in my position, you have to, deploy, or you have to, you have, it's such to say, but you have that leadership that won't advocate for you to go to school, because you have to have someone else approve for you to go to college. If you don't have that person there, find a way to get one or two classes extra in, at the end of the day, because you're just knocking that the years off slowly instead of taking that time, taking those 12 credits a year and actually dedicating so much time. By the end of it, you might not want to do what you're passionate about. So that's what I was saying.
For sure. That's a long time, like
Yeah, yeah,
6 to 9 months, but also like 12 credits a year. That's like you
right,
said. That's a lot of
right,
time, and a lot can happen in that time to where you either lose your passion, you don't know
right.
what you want to do, or you no longer have that support.
Right, right, and that's one of the things. That's a lot of the things that happened to me. Like I said, I had that one person, Dog Wong, who advocated for me, who was like, "Hey, I don't care. We're gonna see 20 patients today, but we're gonna see them all before 4:30, so this man can go home, see his wife, and then go to night school from 5:30 to 10 o'clock, because or she, like she would hook it up and be like, we only having a half day. So definitely, definitely.
Um, why do you think though, as though like there aren't many Black African Americans, going for dentists? Because like growing up, just to kind of be honest, you don't hear a lot of people say, "I want to be a dentist."
Yeah,
You hear
yeah.
lawyer first, you hear a doctor first,
Right,
you hear an
right.
NBA player. You don't really hear, "I want to
Yeah,
be a dentist."
yeah. That's a fact. And like I said, I didn't know what dentistry was until I turned 21, right? And I didn't see it. I saw a dentist twice growing up, and it was an unfortunate situation where the dentist that I went to see was stealing money, and then I had to like plow off my braces and stuff with a quarter. So I was actually like, I'll never see a dentist again because I thought that was all like negative people basically. But I think it's only 2.8% of African Americans in dentistry and black people in dentistry, just because it's a lot of reasons. And I'll go ahead and list off some of them, which is like you know we don't see it in our neighborhoods. We don't see African Americans in our neighborhoods. We don't see African American dentists in our neighborhoods specifically. Um, and without that type of without that type of person in that community, you'll never experience what it's truly like to actually work as an African American in that community, right? And when we see a lot of hoopers, we see people who get scholarships to, be play basketball, to play football, to do all those things. We see the doctors because that's you see a doctor once a year, or when you're hurt, you're gonna see a doctor, right? So you can kind of put yourself in their path. But as far as dentistry, the second thing I would say is also just not a lot of us apply to be dentists, just because of the stereotype of dentists aren't doctors, like, or people don't like working with teeth, and that's something that may hinder it. And I don't know if these what I'm saying is like absolute, but that's what I can see. And then I would say the last thing is this the support to go to dental school. Dental school is expensive. It's very expensive. You got to think you collect the debt from associates, bachelors. Some people get masters. Then you got a doctorate degree. I tell you that my mom, she couldn't afford dental school for me. She wouldn't be able to. And taking in those student loans is that's a hefty toll on your mental and stuff. So a lot of people might get discouraged as African Americans to even go this route um, without some type of support. So I would say those things. I can keep going on and on about
Yeah.
these. I'm real passionate about that. I'm
Yeah.
planning. That's one of my goals after dental school is to make sure I become that image for little African American black boys that may want to dabble in the medical field. I want to show them that it's possible. Shit, if I can do it, you can for sure do it. So
100%. And I'm actually glad that our paths crossed up to this
right,
point because me being in occupational therapy school, you being
right,
in dental school, and seeing somebody that looks like me,
right,
going through a graduate program, and knowing that, all right, like, he's gonna make it and I'm gonna make it, and at
yeah,
some point we're gonna show everybody else that it is possible to go through
right,
this. It's far from easy. Nothing is far from
right,
easy. No
right,
choice that you'll ever make in life would be easy, but
right,
the choice that you can make to set yourself up for success is possible. And when there's a will, there is a way, for sure.
right, right. exactly. That's 1,000% true.
So anybody African American, Hispanic, any person of color,
Right.
honestly, like really looking, to get into grad school or looking to pursue a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, it's
Mm.
possible.
Yeah.
And there is no limit. You just have to want to achieve that. And
Mm.
all circumstances aren't going to be easy. Money isn't going to always be there. The student
No.
loans are going to be there, but
Right.
in
Right.
the end, you're setting yourself up. You're setting the generation after you up for success to
Right.
break those barriers for sure.
Right. Right.
Can you give us a little bit of an outline of what your 4 years of dental school looks like?
Yeah. So, as far as D1 year, it's strictly didactic, and just to break that down, it's all science classes. It's strictly just a bunch of undergrad work with a little sprinkle of actual dentistry in there. Um, so I would say really harp on those science classes when you're going through undergrad. Make sure you intensely and with a purpose are taking those classes, because when you get into dental school, it's just going to be 16 weeks crammed into 1 week, right? So, and it's back to back. It's histology, embryology, cardiology. Like it's back to back, right? The 2 year is didactic, half didactic, and then the next half is sim clinic. So it's basically where we're working on it's called a typodont, which is like a plastic teeth on like a mannequin, basically, and you just getting general hand skills in. So make sure you're working on hand skills. You got some hand-eye coordination. Play the game a little bit more, like, so where you can move your fingers and
Yeah.
watch the TV. You know, and then D3 year, that's when you're mainly in the clinic. You're mainly in the clinic, and then the didactic work that you are doing is focused around dentistry. It's not any science based stuff. It's strictly dentistry, and seeing patients. D4 year, what I like about ASDO is because we are able to see patients so early, which is uncommon in a lot of dental schools. And we are able to get into the lab or the clinic, which we get in the clinic as in D1 year. I forgot to mention that, but we get in the clinic in D1 year where we're assisting with patients, and we might can do a pro fee at the end of the D1 year. So you're actually working with patients by that time. And D4 year is where they send us on rotation. So it's basically just like a 3 year school with like one rotation year. And a lot of schools are 4 year schools. Like in the fourth year, that's when they're seeing patients. But as we see them in the third year, fourth year, you basically you have to do at least four rotations, if I'm not mistaken, around the country and community health centers. So
Oh wow.
yeah, it's
So
pretty. I like that about the school. It's pretty dope.
yeah, for occupational therapy, we get to choose our field work anywhere in the country as well. But it's only
That's
for us. It's a master's program and there's a doctorate program.
yeah,
I'm a part of the master's program for now. I might go into the doctorate program. Who knows? But it's 2 years, a 1 year of school, and then 1 year of field work. So,
hmm
for those that are that are kind of intimidated about the school aspect of it, it's not that long of school, to be honest.
yeah,
It's maybe like three and a half semesters of classwork, and then the rest of it is just kind of being out in the field for anybody that's a
right,
little
right.
intimidated by the school aspect of it.
Mhm. So do y'all have to as well like go out to community health centers, or is it like to like what type of I guess like what type of places are y'all working in?
So for us, like, well, how the end of our first year program is, they kind of set us up to go on to like we get to choose on what kind of field work we have. So it's kind of like basic level one field work,
Yeah.
and it's for a week, and we get to either choose if you want to be a part of a camp or something else and work with
Oh, I see
the
what you're saying.
kids.
Got you. Right, right.
So how much does dental school cost, and why should people not be discouraged by the number? If you feel comfortable saying that number out
I'm
loud.
very comfortable. Like I said, I told you back offline. I got the HPSP scholarship, so I'm blessed. I'm blessed in that way
Mhm.
because my tuition and everything is covered. uh, because dental AT Steel University, is over $400,000 over the 4 years. So it's very close. If I'm not mistaken, it's about $460,000 or something like that. So it's like $500,000, $500,000, which that can be very discouraging. But I do want people to know, like, even whether you take my route, where you do the Health Profession Scholarship Program, or the HPS, or the HSCP, which is another military thing, or it's a bunch of different scholarships out there that will help contribute to the overall cost of the tuition. But don't be discouraged by the number, even if you have to take out loans, because it's an investment on your life. It's an investment on your living conditions. It's an investment on your mental health. It's an investment on what you're intaking, your nutrition. You know what I mean? Because food is expensive. So as a dentist, you'll be able to afford those type of things. And I look at one thing that my wife had to like open my eyes to, because I had that moment of like, oh man, I don't want to go back to the military, because like it's a daunting task. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Whereas regular dentists, they may not see 30 patients. So I was in between: do I take out student loans or do I take this scholarship, right? And either decision that I made, I would have still went to dental school, literally, just because the overall payoff of why I'm doing dentistry. Yeah, let me backtrack a little bit. Because yeah, you have to do it for the right reasons. You can't go into dental school thinking I'm going to make so much money and that's why I'm going to dental school. Like, my motive and my motivation for going to dental school is literally because I love patient care. I love treating people. I love being, that image for African American people, that they can do it too. It's a lot of things that I love about the field that money can't, any type of money or debt wouldn't change my mind about it. So I just want to add that in there. But if I did have that, just know dentistry is definitely a rewarding job. The amount of work you put in is the amount of work that you can, you'll have the output, the financial stability. So I think the median salary for dentists that's straight out of dental school without continuing education, without experience and all of that stuff, is about $170,000 in Mesa, Arizona. And I know dentists, me personally, if you're a headstrong person, you got the craft down, you got this stuff. I know dentists right now that's making 300, 400, $500,000 right now. I know dentists who own practice and stuff, and that's committed to what they do, and that's making a lot of money. So the student loans will be there, but it's just like a car. You just pay it off. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
just pay it off bit by bit and continue to live life.
I think the biggest point that you made was that it's an investment on your life.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid of making that investment because of certain circumstances, and there are a lot of different stories and personal matters that go into making that decision. But
Right.
like you said, you're setting yourself up for success in the next 10, 15 years. And that's not
Right.
to say that you can't be successful without a degree, because you
Right.
can
Right.
most definitely be successful without
That's
a degree.
100% right.
That's so possible.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how you're going to be successful without that degree, the
Yeah.
degree is ensuring that you do have some form of success or in some form of
Right.
a backup plan. So
Right. Right.
anybody that is afraid to make that investment, you will have that that guaranteed job after
Right.
finishing your schooling. But to put it out there, you do not need a degree to be successful. And I
That's a
I
fact.
always stress that to people, because when I once I graduated my undergrad, it wasn't as if I was different from anybody else, but I just had that backup plan.
That's
I
it.
didn't see myself better than anybody else that didn't have a degree, because
Right.
I know plenty of people that are successful, who do not have a
Without
degree.
degrees. 100%. Got a lot of friends right now that's making way more money than I'm in the debt I got right now.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah,
sure.
seriously. So it's definitely possible.
How has your coursework been so far, and what are some things you find challenging?
My coursework, it's honestly, I'm not gonna say easy, but it's definitely it's a task. It's something you got to add to and make sure you commit to every day. It's something that you might have to sacrifice some things to study, but overall, I would say the coursework is pretty, it's fair. I would say that it's at AT Still University. I don't know about any other college. I know about AT Still University. I know that we do modular based system, which means like we study one subject every week to week and a half max. You're probably taking about 4 or 5 tests, but like I said, it's all condensed down into 16 weeks. And me personally, I thrive in that type of that type of coursework, just because I can focus on one thing at a time, whereas most people might have 6 courses that they're thinking about over 16 weeks, and they have to study for this test on Monday and this test that's coming up on Wednesday. So I'm thriving in this environment that I'm in right now, and I really appreciate it. It was one of the reasons why I chose AT Still too. So I would say it's going pretty good. The coursework is pretty decent, and it's fair. So
How tough is it to balance a family, school, and personal self time? Because as you mentioned, you do have a family, you do have
right,
children, and for some people that is also another scary factor of going into school is
yeah,
how am I going to balance my family, my life, my personal
yeah,
self time, things like that.
yeah, yeah. That's a good question right there. I balance it by one. I got a strong faith. I'm not pressing religion on nobody, but I got a strong faith in God. And I know that I wouldn't be in any situation that I couldn't handle. Right? God put me here. God allowed me to meet my wife. It's a lot of situations, where I could have been like, "This is it. I don't want to go to school because it's a tasking thing." But I think, I think I have. I have to just navigate a little differently from the people who don't have, a wife or a husband or a spouse and or kids. I have to navigate it a little different. I have to manage my time well because if my family isn't happy, I'm not going to be able to be happy. If I'm not happy, I'm not studying right. So I make sure I dedicate a lot of my time, me personally, I dedicate a lot of my time to being with my family. I don't study crazy hours in a day. I study probably 2 hours a day, and three max if it's a subject that I really don't know. But I make sure I let my wife know. I make sure I keep them in communication with everything that I'm doing. So I would say being in a graduate program with a family, it can be tasking one because of finances. You got to make sure that like the money that is coming in, you got to manage it well because you have a family to take care of. It's going to be a little bit of money because we don't have a lot of student loans that we can take out. And then my wife, she's very supportive. That's my son right there. Sorry about that. Yeah, so when you studying, make sure you study at school. Don't study at home. Don't study at home because you're gonna get a lot of that. But yeah, no, my wife, she's very supportive of it, and I would say if you do decide to get into graduate school, make sure your spouse is supportive as well of what you're doing and know that you do have to make those sacrifices at home because it's going to all pay off in the long run. So take it slow. You can do it. Anybody can do it. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you willing to change about yourself in order to be successful in the type of program that you want to go to.
Most definitely,
Yeah.
sacrifices come with anything and everything in
Right.
life. There's no way around it.
Right. That's 100.
Did you have
percent
to obtain a certain amount of shadowing hours? And how was that experience for you?
Um, It was so for me. Like I said, I worked in the military and I worked as a medical assistant and like doing medical stuff. But the military, they can put you anywhere. So I was able to work in a dental office while I was in the military. So a lot of my shadowing came from that experience. And one thing that I will say is yes. Wait, backtracking. Yes, you do need shadowing hours. And at a school like AT Still, where community service is key, or experience in that field is key, I would say have over 200 shadowing hours, just because they want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. Right? For me, I had 4.5 years worth of shadowing, worth of knowing that I was going to be in that field, and mine is a little different because I was working there technically, and the hours that I did get shadowing was considered shadowing, but I also worked there. I don't know how to explain it. I just use those two in conjunction because I didn't have time to actually go out and shadow anybody. So I made sure that I took days off where it's called leave days. I took my personal days off to all right. I need to go see an endodontist today, or I need to go do this, or I need to do that so I can see different things in the field. But I really just calculated those hours of me just working there into it. So I had they accepted it, and it was thousands of hours working there. So
It sounds like you really made it
yeah,
happen, and using your personal time to do that shows like your level of dedication and
yeah,
the real definition of like no excuses.
right, right.
A lot of people would not want to sacrifice their leave time or their personal time to go,
Mm-mm.
shadow a dentist. They would want to go, just
Right.
relax or take a
Have
self
some
day. But instead, for you, you went to go, shadow, and that definitely says a lot about who you are.
right, right. And just to add on to that, it's possible. It's as long as you want something and you see the payoff in the future, it's worth that sacrifice. It's worth that little 1, 3, 4, 5 leave days to go do whatever you gotta do to take care of because I'm gonna be relaxing on the beach sometime soon. So
For
it's all
sure.
worth it. It's worth it.
So, kind of switching the topic a little bit. How
Right.
would you or any dentist work with somebody who has a disability?
Yeah. That's definitely that's a that's a question that I feel like I can't truly answer right now because um, I feel like I know at the end of the day you're going to treat every patient with compassion. You have no choice. Every patient is treated with compassion. Every patient is going to be treated fairly. Every patient is going to make sure you're doing your due diligence and making sure that you're making that person comfortable. But it all boils down to what type of disability that this person may have. Whether somebody might be they suffer from PTSD, right? Or you might have someone with autism or some other um, disability, and I think every situation is different. You have to handle every situation different. I know as working as an assistant in the military, we see a lot of people with post traumatic stress disorder, and it's really hard to kind of put yourself in their shoes. You know what I mean, and realize that this motor that's going on in their face might trigger something in their brain. You know what I mean? So you gotta be accommodating as a dentist. Like I said, I haven't personally, you know, motor and mirror to a patient, but from what I see and how I would look at it is, I think a dentist should be one compassionate, trustworthy, and dedicated to making sure that that patient is at a okay comfort level to where they're they're feeling good about the procedure. It needs to be some form of trust established. It needs to be a lot of things set in place beforehand, a lot of work made beforehand. Whether it's getting that patient the proper medication or making sure they took their medication, or making sure they have someone there who can comfort them, who can help them through that procedure. So it's a lot of different ways in my brain that I'm thinking about a lot of different roads that could happen and how I would navigate it. But ultimately, I think it boils down to those things that I just said.
For sure, and like you said, like compassion.
Right,
Everybody, deserves and should receive some form of treatment if needed.
right, right, 100%.
So, to end off, what would be your advice to anybody that is in the military, any African American person who wants to get in the dentistry?
Right. I'm I'm going to take it back just a little bit and give a little bit of my personal testimony right here to it to add on to this question because I think it'll add some value to somebody who might be watching this who's kind of skeptical. But I grew up. Dad sold drugs. I wasn't in the best home. I lived in a crack house. I was bad in school. Didn't make good choices. Fought a lot. Did a lot of things that I look back that was kind of like crazy, and it was I was homeless in high school, and the only choice that I had to make was either I stay on this road and I go towards the road with my friends. Most of my friends went down, which is jail, passed away right now, or I go to the military. I made the choice to go to the military, and I think if you're in that position, or maybe not in that position, or just wanting to be a dentist, and you have the grades, you have everything. just make sure you're taking the right strides to understand the profession that you're getting yourself into, and have a good understanding as a African American and as a black person or a minority, or like we like to say in diversity and inclusion. Inclusion, is historically underrepresented groups. You want to make sure that those barriers that's in place to kind of restrict you from getting into dentistry, or those situations that you might run into with the microaggressions and everything, you're able to emotionally handle those things because it's a real thing. And I would say that's the most important part. If you Before you get into dentistry, or if you ever think about making the choice to become a dentist, make sure you're emotionally ready yourself, because I was told that you can't be a dentist, bro. Like you come from the hood. Like, yeah, you won't be a dentist. You won't make it because you talk weird, right? And I'm here right now. So don't let anything distract you from your ultimate goal. But make sure that you are choosing this profession for you, right? And you're choosing the profession to better somebody else and be a positive light for someone else. So that's why I would say for any African American minority that's trying to get into dentistry, or somebody who might be at a disadvantage in life, because it's a lot of things that you got to come for. But that's what I would say to them.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Definitely, that was powerful, and I appreciate you sharing that. I want to make it known that you know, this wasn't pre-rehearsed, and I didn't ask
nah,
James to
yeah,
share his testimony, but that just says a lot about the kind of person he is, and where you're coming from and where you're at now is truly amazing. I didn't know that
yeah.
prior to you even
Yeah,
saying that.
I,
So
I don't flaunt about it, man. It's something I take, and I just use it as that engine to keep going, because it's a lot of reasons I shouldn't be here, but we
for
here,
sure,
right?
definitely. Thank you, James, for
Yeah,
taking the time out your day to
yeah.
come and talk to us on the Healthy Spread podcast.
Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate you for even me inviting me on here. And I don't know if you have my email or anything posted, but I do have a long email. Whenever Kyle posts this, it's gonna be james.whitfield.futuredmd@gmail.com. Reach out to me. Follow my Instagram. It's gonna be at j.whitf, and shoot me a DM if you got any questions. So
For sure, and I will make sure I post that for you guys,
yeah,
your future dentist. So if anybody needs to come to a dentist, figure anything out, has any
yeah,
questions, feel free to reach out to James. He does have a
right.
lot of information.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. I
All right,
appreciate
thank you, James.
you.